wrong here. Premonition. I'd got back in my car and driven away from Claire, forgetting her instantly, having no idea what was about to happen to her. Or me. Someone did abduct that little girl, just seconds after I'd been there. Whoever he was, he did take her into the woods and violate her. And he did make that awful decision, the worst a person can make. He decided to kill her. But she survived, too traumatized to know who the hell had done this to her, too broken to put anything much about the crime into words. It didn't matter what Claire said anyway, in the end. The public knew who'd done this. 12 people had seen the child, seen me standing not far from her, talking to her, the back door of my car yawning open. I'd heard the story of Claire's attack described to me so many times across my trial and incarceration that it was easy to see myself doing it. There are only so many times you can hear a lie before you start living and breathing it, actually remembering it like it was real. But it was not real. I'm not a killer or a rapist. I'm just a man. There are things I am, and things I used to be. I used to be a cop, a new father, a devoted husband. I'd been someone who could never imagine myself wearing handcuffs, sitting in the back of a prison van, standing in the queue for chow in a correctional facility food hall, a wife killer in front of me and a bank robber behind. There had been only one little girl in my life, my daughter, Lillian, whose existence on the earth I was still measuring in weeks when I was arrested. I used to read voraciously. I drank red wine, and I danced in the kitchen with my wife. I regularly wore odd socks, and I often left beard stubble in the bathroom sink. I was an ordinary guy. Now I was a runaway living on the edge of nowhere, looking for crocs, watching the sun disappear beyond the mountains across the lake. Wandering back up the hill, my hands in my pockets and bad thoughts swirling. When an accusation like that comes into your life, it never leaves. The story of what I had done to Claire Bingley played on and on in the minds of my ex-colleagues, my friends, my wife, Claire Bingley's parents, and the barrister who prosecuted me before my trial collapsed. They saw it just as vividly as I saw it. An unreal reality, a false truth. People passed the story on to each other in whispers as I walked into the court in cuffs. The media printed it, the television stations ran it. The story was so real that it came to me in flashes of light in the strangest moments. While I was showering, while I was sitting alone on the porch drinking wild turkey and watching the water. I dreamed about it often, woke sweating and twisted in my sheets. I am not, and never have been, a pedophile. I don't find children sexually attractive. I never laid a hand on Claire Bingley. But that doesn't matter. To the world, I am a monster. Nothing was ever going to change that. Working on my goose house seemed to drive out the darkness. So I went to the newly erected structure and stood before it, making plans. Around me, on the sprawling, empty lawn, 7 geese wandered, plucking at the grass, muttering and clucking contentedly to one another. When one settled by my feet, her hunger apparently sated, I reached down and stroked the back of her soft grey neck, the feathers collapsing, weightless, until I felt the soft, warm flesh of her neck underneath. My geese don't think I'm a monster, and that's something, at least. I never planned on being a goose daddy. I spent 8 months in prison with no idea if I was ever going to see the outside world again, let alone what I might do if I was ever released. I didn't have a home to go to. 3 weeks after my arrest, my wife Kelly had started to turn her back on me. The weight of the evidence against me and the pressure of the public opinion simply too much for her to withstand. I didn't make any plans for life after the accusation. I was taken to prison, and I tried to survive each day there.